Hello, welcome back to Just Code It. Today we're going to be taking a look at filled area plots. Let's just jump right in. Let's do our imports. We're going to import Pandas as PD and import Plotly Express as PX. The first plot we're going to do for the filled area plot is a very basic one. We're just going to define some data and make a data frame, then create a data frame with column month, and then give it the months, and then value, and then give it the list of values. After creating the data frame, we're going to move on to creating the figure. Using Plotly Express, so px.area, we're going to then pass it the data frame and assign the x value to months and the y value to value. Give it a title, and then the labels, we're just going to have the value as an amount. After creating the figure, we're going to update the layout. How we're going to do this is do figure.update layout, show legend as false, and then hover mode is X unified. So what this does is it shows all the data points at the same X coordinate in a single tooltip. Better way to illustrate this is just to run it. And here you can see as we move down the X, it shows this single tooltip with month and amount. After creating the basic filled area plot, we're going to move on to a multi-line filled area plot where we're going to take the high and low temperature for a day and fill in the area between them. First, we're going to create some of the data. How we're going to do this is define the days, Monday through Sunday, then the min temp and the max temp for each day, create a data frame with a column for day, a column for min temp, and a column for max temp. After that, we're then going to transform the data a little bit using melt. What this does is it takes in the column day, so that's what we're going to use as the ID column, and then we're going to pass it the value vars. So this is the min temp and the max temp, and what this will do is create more rows in our data frame, removing the min temp and the max temp columns and assigning it to a column named temperature. To see this, let's just run this. Here you can see we now have a row-wise representation of our data frame where we have Monday min temp, and then there will be a Monday max temp. Instead of having columns, it will be defined with a category in the temperature type. This just makes it easier to feed into Plotly, having it in this row-wise representation. Move on to creating the plot. We're going to define a figure, which is px.line, pass it the melted data frame. The X is going to be the day, and then the Y is going to be the temperature. We're going to then color by the temperature type. So we're going to color by max and min. Label is going to be just temperature is going to be temperature in Fahrenheit, and then day is going to be day of the week, title of the plot. Finally, we have the color discrete map, which is just discrete colors, and we're going to pass it. I believe this is blue and yellow. I'm not sure. We'll find out pretty soon. After creating the figure, we're going to update the traces. What we're going to do in the trace is, let's just knock this down a bit, is fill, I do not know how to pronounce that, but fill tonix T. I have no idea. But what this does is it fills between the lines. That's what's going to create that fill in between the two lines. And then the selector for the fill in between the lines is going to be the max temp. Then we have selector, which specifies which traces to modify. In this case, we only are modifying the max temp. Finally, we're going to update the layout with hover mode and then that X unify. Let's give it a run. Here you can see we have the X unify, which gives us our single hover on each X axis. And then we have that fill in between, and we have the same color. The final plot we're going to do is a plot that's going to demonstrate how to do stock prices. So we're going to create some fake stock prices and then do a 7-day moving average with an upper bound with volatility and a lower bound. So this is like a Bollinger Bands. To do this, we're going to import numpy as MP, simulate some data. The data is just going to be Pandas data frame. The price is going to be MP cumulative sum, and then we're just basically going to select some random a normal distribution of random values. The 7-day moving average is PD series. We're going to pass it that price. And then we're going to use rolling window size as 7 days and then the mean for that window size. So it's basically like a sliding scale. Instead of mean, we're going to use the standard deviation times 2. So we do PD, series, price, rolling. But here we're going to use 5-day moving average or 5-day window instead of a 7-day window. And then we're going to take the standard deviation of that and times it by 2, which gives us the volatility. After creating all that data, we're then going to create a data frame with it, with the dates, the stock price, the 7-day moving average, the upper band and the lower band. Again, we're going to melt that all together, turn those column-wise data frame into a row-wise data frame. How we do that is pass in the date, and then the value vars are going to be the price, the 7-day moving average, the upper bound and the lower bound. The variable name is going to be series, and the value name is going to be value. So if we just print this out, df melted, we have series, stock price, so that's our categorical value. And then we have the values for each of those stock prices. Now we're going to create the figure. So the figure is going to be, the X is going to be date, the Y is going to be value, the color is going to be the series, so that categorical variable. Then title and label. We're going to add some traces to the plot. The first trace is going to be the upper bound. We're going to do px line as a trace, and then we're going to pass it the data frame, give it the date so it matches up. And then upper bound is going to be the Y. We're going to grab that series column and check for upper bound. Then we're going to grab the data from it. Then we're going to do the same for a lower bound. Like before, we're going to then update the trace with a fill, still don't know, tone XT or whatever it's called. And then have the selector as the lower bound. This will fill in the Bollinger Bands with a kind of a shade. And we're going to do a light orange shade filling in the Bollinger Bands. Then we're going to update the style of the stock price line. To do this, we're going to do update trace and pass it with the color of dark green with a 3 and a selector, which is going to be a dictionary with the name of stock price. That's getting that selector, going to select the stock price trace, setting the color to orange, the width to 2, and then we're going to make this a dashed line. Again, the selector is going to be a dictionary with the name set to 7-day moving average. I know this is probably repetitive now, but now we're going to set the update trace for both the upper and lower bound. We're going to set it to a width of 0. So we're going to have basically no visible line. And then the selector is going to be upper bound and lower bound. Finally, we're going to update that layout like we've been doing and do X unified. We run this. We can see each X is giving us all the information for it. And then once we get to here, we can see the upper bound, lower bound, all the information for each. It looks like we have a little bit of duplicate data in there, but that's fine. We have the dotted line for the 7-day moving average. Can't really tell for this, but you can see how we're tracing the lower bound, and then the upper bound is getting traced from the 7-day moving average and the stock price. That is it for filled area plots. Comment down below with any questions you might have. And I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you next time.